How to grow your email list fast using the power of chatbots and Zapier. Have you ever wondered how to grow your email list fast? I'm sure you have. I'm David Bain and welcome to episode 7 of the Chat Marketing Train, brought to you by Mobile Monkey. Because of reduced email opt-in form conversion rates, marketers are clamoring for new ways to generate fresh subscribers. And if you're not doing so already, chatbots can be a wonderful way to accelerate your email list growth. In this episode, we're going to be covering why chatbots and email aren't competitors in the communications mix, how chatbots and email marketing can work together, and how to start growing your email subscriber list in 10 simple steps using chatbots. Traditionally, marketers have viewed traffic driving sources as channels. While it's often still the case, this kind of thinking doesn't promote omni-channel marketing. It doesn't encourage individual marketing channel owners to work together effectively. That's got to change. For instance, chatbots can be so much more with email, and email can be so much more with chatbots. It's not just one versus the other. One on one really does make three. Let's explore how chatbots and email can work more effectively together, alongside how to grow your email list a lot faster using the power of chatbots. Here's Dan Golder's thoughts on the topic.
At Mobile Monkey, we've been talking for years now about chat marketing and how it's the most engaging form of outbound messaging you can do for your customers and prospects. And our goal here is to make it easy for anyone to engage their audience with the latest and greatest chat marketing strategies. But that all said, we realize the context of where we're coming into, and we realize that chat is just one ingredient in your marketing mix. Whether you're a chat marketing pro or just getting started, your chatbot should complement your email strategy. It's not really meant to replace it altogether. And especially if you're just getting started, a great way to get your feet wet building chatbots is to use them for lead gen for your existing email campaigns. After a few weeks or months of using Mobile Monkey and getting used to chatbots and seeing how they all work, you can do these great end-to-end campaigns and strategies with them. But if you're just getting started, you already have an email drip campaign up and running, like why not just use your chatbot to funnel leads into that? And chatbots are really great for collecting these type of leads. Web forms, the way you probably do it now, they're not novel anymore. They have really bad conversion. People X them out. They don't want to deal with them. But chat, it still has this sort of sense of newness, and people are more likely to engage with this. If you ask somebody for their email address, their phone number on chat, they're more likely to give it to you than if you just pop up a web form in their face. So we think it's a great way to build an email list, but in order to do that whole end-to-end conversion, you have to get your emails out of Mobile Monkey and into whatever email platform you're using. So that's where Zapier comes in. It's a great tool. It basically sits as a middleman in between all these different marketing tools, all these different marketing softwares, and lets you integrate any of them together. So when we integrate with Zapier, we integrate with tens of thousands of other applications. Hope today to show you a quick little demo of how you can set one of those workflows up to build your email list using chatbots.
Great. Okay. Sounds really good. So, I mean, just a little bit more, I guess, of a background. You mentioned the fact that obviously, just because chatbots exist doesn't mean that email doesn't exist. So, do you find that people prefer? Some people prefer chatbots, some people prefer email, or is there a blend between them both and people are using them both, and that's actually best practice for everyone to use a combination between chatbots and email?
Yeah, I think it's definitely best practice to use both. They're both good for different types of content and different types of communication. If you think about an email, it's longer form. The user, when they're reading their email, they can see more at once. They can see a couple paragraphs of text and an image maybe. But with chat, it's shorter, it's more interactive. You're really aiming for engagement. With emails, you're not trying to get people to respond necessarily. With chat, you always are. You're really trying to engage with your audience. So using them both in tandem is probably going to be your best bet.
And when you're talking about using them in tandem, you're obviously not talking about just distributing the same message on both platforms. You're talking about using chat in a different way to use email.
Of course, right. Yeah. So you have your brand voice, you have the expectation that your customers and prospects have that you're going to communicate with them in a certain way. And you definitely want to tailor that voice to the channel that you're communicating with them on. So chat is shorter, it's more interactive, it's more engaging. It catches them wherever they are, whereas email might catch them just when they sit down to a computer. I know I, for one, always swipe my email notifications away on my phone. With chat, I'm a little bit less inclined to do that because I can read it so quickly. So it's definitely a different type of communication. And when we talk about using them in tandem, a great little strategy you can do if you're using Facebook. Facebook only lets you send promotional messages within 24 hours of the last time somebody contacted your page. So a great way to get them back in that 24-hour fold is to include a link to your chatbot in your email, right, from MobileMonkey. And if you're using MobileMonkey to build your email list, then you know that you're going to have great coherence there in terms of people being on both platforms.
Great, I love that. And obviously, we're going to be talking more about how to grow your email list using chatbots, but also using the tool that you've mentioned already, Zapier, in order to make that easier and to tie everything together. And you just mentioned there the possibility of doing things like incorporating a link to your chatbots directly within an email. If you're using a tool like Zapier, then what you can do is intelligently detect if someone has actually signed up using your chatbot, and then you can tie round the fact that you know who that person is. And perhaps some emails you can send out other links, maybe directly to your website, who haven't actually yet engaged with your chatbots. And other people, you can personalize that email a little bit more and deliver that personalized messaging through chat when you know they've actually signed up with that particular format.
Exactly right. Yeah. If your email system lets you create custom fields, which most of them do, then one of those fields or tags can be that this person came from a chatbot or that this person has engaged with the chatbot. And just like you said, you can use that information to tailor the marketing campaign to them. Okay, so now we've jumped into MobileMonkey. I'm going to do a quick demo of how to set up a lead generator using chatbots for your email list. And this is a great first use case to try out if you're new to chatbots, just using them to fuel your existing marketing campaigns. So in MobileMonkey here, you can see we've navigated to the Facebook page welcomer. This is the messages that will be sent to users who go to your Facebook page and click on this send message button at the top here. So in order to get here, I've gone to Facebook and then page welcomer. Down at the bottom of the screen, we can create what we call a start bot, which is just a little quick conversation using our trusty widgets. So in this start bot, our main goal, as you know, is going to be to ask users for their email address. And then we're going to take that email address and send it over to MailChimp using Zapier. So first question we might want to do, if you ask for the email first, they might get a little bit turned off or confused, like, why are you asking me for information already? So what we like to do is just ask like a warm-up question or two. And if they respond to this warm-up question, then they're going to be a contact in MobileMonkey. So even if you don't manage to convert and get their email address, you'll have them in chat and you can contact them here. So first question we'll ask is, hi there, are you looking to plan an event? This is for my page called Hosts, etc. It's my fake event planning service. Users will respond with a multiple choice question here. So I'll add a couple answers, like yes, and no. Now these two answers might have different paths that we want to send the contacts down. So I'll create a new one for yes. And now here, we'll ask for their email. So whenever you're asking for an email address, what you want to do is in this user replies with field, choose email. And that's going to ensure that we're validating that the user types in a real email address. And you want to save it to an attribute. And a great one to save it to is our pre-canned email attribute. This comes standard. So question we'll ask here, great. What's your email address so we can get started? All right, and just like that, we are asking for an email address in chat. Now, if they had typed no, maybe we want to have a different tag. So we could say something like, understood. Mind if we ask for your email so we can stay in touch? And same thing here. Email, save to email. Great. So now we have a simple little flow that's going to ask a user for an email address, whether they say yes or no, if they're looking to plan an event. So the next thing we have to do is send this data over to MailChimp via Zapier. So to start that up, we actually want to switch over to the Zapier section of MobileMonkey. And here in the Zapier section, you're going to see a couple things. At the top, you're going to see your API key. And the API key is just something you're going to plug into Zapier so it knows which MobileMonkey user you are. So first thing you're going to want to do is copy that to your clipboard. Down below, there's a bunch of templates you can use. These templates are great. We've tested them all and kind of built ones that were based on what other users have created. So you can start with one of these, or you can just go right into Zapier and build one from scratch. And that's what I'm going to do so you can see how it works. So I'll just tab over to Zapier. Here's what Zapier looks like if you haven't seen it before. Bunch of different navigation options, but this is what you land on, and the big shiny button, make a zap, is the one you're looking for. So we're going to click that to start. Now we're in Zapier's editor. Got a couple apps to start with. So if you've never used Zapier before, the basic format is every single zap starts with a trigger. And the trigger is going to be the thing that happens that causes this zap to fire. And when it fires, it's going to do an action. It can also do searches and stuff like that, but generally it's going to end with an action. So in this case, our trigger is going to be when somebody gives us their email address in MobileMonkey. And the action is going to be sending that contact to MailChimp. So here you can see we're starting. When this happens is going to be the sort of prompt for a trigger. So this happening, I'm going to choose MobileMonkey, choose trigger event. So now we're into some of the stuff that we've built for our Zapier integration. We have 3 different options you can use here. New contact, this is going to fire off every single time somebody talks to your page for the first time. The downside to this is that when they first talk to your page, you haven't yet had the chance to ask them for any more information. So we only have what Facebook gives us when you use this trigger. Another one, new or updated contact attribute. This is a kind of interesting one because it's going to mean it's going to keep somebody in sync. So whenever an attribute changes on a user, it's going to fire this one off. And then probably the most straightforward one, or most popular one, is connection widget reached. So this is going to trigger every time you put a little widget in your start bot or in your dialog. And we'll do this one because it's the most popular and I want to show you how it works. Cool. So here's our MobileMonkey accounts. I'm going to do edit accounts. So now we're going to choose our account here, and this is going to be the Facebook page that we want to build the Zap on. Mine is already in here, but I'm going to add a new one just to show you how it works. And this is where we're going to paste that API key that we copied from MobileMonkey. So paste that in, click continue. It's going to recognize this is my hosts, etc. page, and we are good to go. So here, customize connection widget trigger. trigger name. We're going to call this one emails to MailChimp. This name is important because it's going to be what you select in your connection widget in MobileMonkey. So give it a name that you can remember. And actually, you might want to use the same name to name the Zap up at the top here. Great. So this step here, this is find data. It's going to do a test where it'll pull in contacts from my page from MobileMonkey. So let's do test and continue. So it should pull in a couple contacts. Kind of hid what it did, but I think if I click back, I'll see it. Yeah, so there's a couple contacts that it pulled in here. You can see a bunch of data from my page. Okay, great. So now we have our trigger all set up. Every time a connection widget is reached in MobileMonkey, we're going to do some stuff, and we get to pick what we want to do. So for this, we're going to choose MailChimp because we're going to send our emails that we get in MobileMonkey to MailChimp. So what we'll want to do, MailChimp has a bunch of different actions you can try here. The most obvious one, and the one that we're going to use today, is add or update a subscriber. Great. So here, MailChimp account, we just have to pull one. Looks like this one's used in a lot, so I'll grab that. All right, so in our audience here, we're going to pick this, whatever audience you want to use to add your subscriber to a list. I picked just one that I created for this example. So here, the subscriber email, this is where we're going to need to get that data from MobileMonkey. In Zapier, anytime you need to use dynamic data, which is usually data coming from another system earlier in your Zap, you're going to want to click over here, insert a field. Once you click insert a field, you're going to see all the different attributes that you can use in MobileMonkey from your trigger. For me, I'm going to click email, which is near the top. You can also search if you want, but I saw it. Great. So there's no data on this contacts that got pulled in, so it's a little bit confusing how they show this here, but you can see attribute email. We should be safe. There's a bunch of optional fields here that don't have a little required next to them. I'm going to skip it because it's going to be different for every app, and you might not be using MailChimp anyway. But just because we do have first name and last name in MobileMonkey, that feels like it would be useful for an email. Great. Bunch of different ones. Okay, cool. So we've created our subscriber. I'm going to skip the test here, and the reason is that it's going to fail because I don't have an email on this subscriber. But usually if they did have an email, you'd be able to test, and it would actually send a contact to MailChimp for you. So say I'm done editing. Now this is all I want to do. If you wanted to do more, like say send that same email to your CRM, you could by clicking the little plus here and adding another action step. It's kind of neat. But for now, this is all we need for this app. So what I'm going to do is turn it on at the top right. Don't forget to turn it on or it won't work. And great. We are all set. We've created our Zap. Now the next step is to make sure that this Zap fires whenever someone gives us their email in MobileMonkey. So I'll go back over to MobileMonkey and go back to our Facebook page welcomer. And if you remember, we had a couple different answers here, and I'm going to need to add, after each question, a connection widget. It's going to be emails to MailChimp. So you'll remember this is the text name that we added to our Zap. So I'll choose that. This would actually be a great use case to use the keep in sync option instead of the connection widget. Because it would make sure that, anytime you got an email address, it would send it over without having to add a widget each time. But this is the, I think, more intuitive way of doing things for beginners. So I'm just showing this. All right. So whether they answer yes or no, we're going to ask them for their email address. And after they give us their email, we're going to send it over to MailChimp via Zapier. Cool. So Now let's see what it looks like. Okay, so come over to the Facebook page. You can see this is my hosts, etc. page that we're building the chatbot on. And I clicked send message and I have, hi there, are you looking to plan an event? So this is the start bot that we created in MobileMonkey. So here I'll just click yes, might as well be positive. What's your email address? We can get started. So here you'll see the contact is going to see the the email address that Facebook has on file for them in a little button. So Facebook lets you kind of just give permission to the page to have that email address. If I don't want to use this one, then I can type a different one. But for the case of this, I'll just do the easy thing. So we didn't put in a response. All that happened was that we sent the email over to MailChimp. So this is going to be the end of this conversation. Obviously, if you were building one for your customers, you don't want to say thanks. So I'll just tab over to MailChimp now. So you can see here, here's my MailChimp audience. It has nobody in it because it's brand new. If I click refresh, then hopefully we'll see the new contact added from MobileMonkey. Yep. So this one just came in. You could see my email address, my first name and last name. This all came from MobileMonkey. And then my source is Zapier. So it lets you know that this is where the lead came from. So pretty simple. Another way you can check if this thing is working is if you come over to Zapier, you can click in task history. And this is going to show you all the different times that this specific Zap has run. So you can see sometimes you'll see errors here, and that means that something didn't work, and maybe you need to do some troubleshooting. But in this case, it's a pretty simple one, and it worked just fine. So we saw this success here was going to be sending the data containing my email address, my first name and last name from MobileMonkey to MailChimp. So just like that, easy as pie, you can set up your very first chatbot workflow to complement your existing marketing, your email marketing strategy.
So great screen share there. Thanks for that, Dan. Let's focus in on really growing that email list. So what are maybe 3 or 4 different ways that a business can really use chat marketing to amplify the growth of their email list?
Sure. So a good way to think about it is just however you're using your email list now, however you're kind of promoting it on your website, or however you're promoting it is a good way to promote it in chat. So some simple use cases to think about. One that we do a lot is, can we just have your email address in case we get disconnected? We say that so that if we're answering somebody's customer support inquiry or something of that nature, we know that we'll be able to get back to them on email, even if Facebook has shut down that 24-hour window. Another thing you might think about is if you have an email survey that comes from a SurveyMonkey or a Wootrick, then you can say, hey, can we have your email address just to ask you a couple questions about how your experience was? And they might be able to respond positively to that. A really cool one that I know that David, you've done before is if you have a calendar event coming up, maybe it's a webinar or some sort of like some interesting thing where you might want to invite a bunch of people, you can build a list for that event through chat by just asking for people's email address and then using Zapier to send out those invites after they give it to you. Another really popular one that we see all the time is people who are giving out promo codes for 10% off. You see this in pop-ups all the time, like give us your email address and we'll give you 10% off. You can do that with chat as well. People like that analogy.
Great. So get creative about it. There are lots of different ways to do it. There are loads of different ways that we haven't even mentioned. But you don't just simply say, what's your email address? You give them a reason for doing that. And if you give them that reason, they're much more likely to share it with you.
Exactly. Yep.
Great. Okay. Well, a lot of great tips shared in this episode here. Shall we just finish off maybe by talking about Zapier and MobileMonkey again? And what's one way that we can actually pull data back from Zapier into MobileMonkey? So doing it the opposite way around.
Sure. So I could probably do a whole other episode on this. But if you're interested, if you have data in a system or in a Google Sheet and you want to enrich your MobileMonkey contacts with it, we see a lot, like realtors will do this to pull in information about houses that are near somebody based on their zip code. You can use Zapier the same way that we just did it, but follow up with a final action that sends data back into MobileMonkey from whatever system you're talking to. It's pretty simple. There's a bunch on our help docs about it, so search that for sure.
Wonderful stuff. So, email marketing and chatbots, they're not competitors. They work really, really well together.
Yeah.
And so, make sure that you integrate them and other parts of your communications mix to really amplify the efforts of everything that you're doing. Dan, thanks again for joining us on the chat marketing train.
Thank you, David.